So you go live in the group first.
Yep, we're live. We are live, live, live.
Live, 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 live. Where do I turn? How do I?
Just go to our page.
Oh, there you go.
Woo-hoo. Hey, hey, hey. It is Tuesday. It is 9 p.m. and you already know what that means. It means your girls, Terri, Coach Terri, and Dani. We're live. We're direct for Hits and Heels, episode 3. What's up, Terri?
Girl, what is up? What is up? What is up? So listen, you know my Cowboys won yesterday, so and I'm not gonna lie, I thought we was about to lose because you know when you got no quarterback and Zeke been playing like boo boo la foo, and yesterday CeeDee Lamb dropped a pass that he ain't had no business passing dropping, so I was like, girl, I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked that we pulled that one off yesterday, so I went on ahead and pulled out my Cowboys gear today.
That's too funny. So my Eagles won too on Sunday.
Yeah, they're number one in the division still.
Yes.
The only undefeated team, I think, in the NFC.
Yes, that is correct. So, we had a great weekend. We were in Chicago for the weekend. We got to see my nephews. They played youth football. And when I say these boys they're ginormous. Like, they're huge. They're 13 and 11. Benjamin is 11. He'll be 12 in December. Mason just turned 13 in July. And they're taller than me. Now, granted, I am not tall, right? By any stretch of the imagination, I am not a tall human being. But my nephews are so tall. But then we get to the field, and I'm looking at these boys like, I need to see some birth certificates.
Right. It's always like that. I don't know what they feed these kids these days.
I'm looking like, y'all are not 11, 12, 13 years old. You are not. We're talking 6th through 8th grade, and they literally, there was one boy out there when I tell you, he had to have been 6'2" in the 8th grade. I said,
I can see that. We had one that was like 6'2". There's a picture that I have of an 8th grader that we had about 2 years ago, and he was easily 6'2". He was a beast. He's a monster now.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
That's crazy. And I'm just sitting up here like, I'm at their house, and I'm like, can one of y'all come over here and get this glass down off the shelf in the cabinet? Because I can't reach it.
Right.
But it was just so nice to see them play. That was my first time ever seeing them play football, so it was just so exciting. It was so exciting, and I've watched all their game film, but never got to see them live. And they played back to back on a Saturday, so that was really
good.
Yeah, my sister-in-law had her side of the family out. We came in town, and it was just real nice. It was really, really nice, and I did the typical, super fan thing, loud auntie on the sideline, yelling, taking pictures. So I got to get my practice back on, taking pictures of the guys. So we had a really, really good time. It was a beautiful weekend. and the Bears won. They're huge Bears fans. The Bears won.
I'm not gonna lie, I am a Justin Fields fan. So Justin's mom, Joanne Fields, and I went to high school together. We graduated from the same high school. Yeah, she's a year behind me, but we still go like way back. So yeah, so I'm a Justin Fields fan.
Now listen, this is why I call you and Cisco Barack and Michelle, because y'all just know everybody. Where is Cisco? I hope he can hear me.
I got the door closed so he can be quiet. He can't hear.
Barack. So speaking of Barack and Michelle, let's dive into it. Tell us about the inaugural Lexington African American Sports Hall of Fame ceremony, which y'all had on Saturday, and I saw the pictures, and that is why I keep calling you and Cisco Michelle and Barack, because y'all look like y'all were going to like the White House inauguration.
Right. Right. Well, let me tell you something. It was the absolute best event, period, that I have ever experienced. It was Black excellence. It was classy. It was, oh my God. I mean, we had 1,000 people there. Like seeing them in the room and seeing the room filled was just amazing. Because I remember when we were planning, we was thinking about, okay, well, what should we get for like the place settings or something like that? Well, how many so when I was talking to someone about that, she was like, well, how many tables? I was like, girl, I don't know. Let's go with 300 people. So we was talking like 300 people. We was praying for maybe 300, 400 people, and we get 1,000 people. When I tell you everything, when I tell you God opened up the windows of heaven and poured out a blessing all over that event, it was unbelievable. So I should have had a slideshow for you. But I'll send it to you afterwards. So when you come into the event, first of all, it was located downtown at the Central Bank Center, which is adjacent, the same building that Rupp Arena housed downtown. So you know exactly where I'm talking about, right?
Right.
So they had remodeled that whole convention center. They had totally remodeled it, and so it is beautiful. And so that's where we held it. The food was off the chain. I mean, delicious. The way it was set up was beautiful. I mean, and mind you, we had planned all of this. So, so Bobby and Jennifer Jones, it was their vision, right? And then they have their oldest daughter is named Constance, and Constance is an event planner. So Constance kind of came in, and Debo, her daddy, was like, look, let me take this over for you and help you out some. And when I tell you that little girl got it going on when it came to that event, I mean, just the small little details about, we had vendors, we had a red carpet area, we had we hired the chauffeurs and stuff to bring the inductees to the event, and then into like a red carpet area. And then there was, we had photographers from Tops and different other photographers. We had like maybe 3 different photographers there taking pictures everywhere, so that everybody could just have a different perspective. I'm gonna send you the Tops ones, because there's like 2 things on that and 2 links for that one, and you could just go through the through the links, and you could see that. Unbelievable. The what's the little signs in the background? What do you call them? She called
step and repeats.
Step and repeats. She had 2 step and repeats that were really, really good. That had that where they could take pictures at. Then they had another area where you could take pictures, another backdrop where you could take pictures at. The stage, oh my God. So the way the stage was set up, it had like ramps on both sides, right? and then there was like a curtain. Well, then there was like chairs behind it, so it's like you had like a backstage area, so that way we can just go bring whoever was next. We didn't have to wait for everybody to walk up there and do. We were able to kind of just pull them in.
Right.
We had script for everything. I mean, there was some hiccups, yes, but when I tell you that mug was off the chain, I mean, excellence at the top level. Like you would have thought we was at a presidential inauguration because it was just that classy and elegant. That's the word I'm looking for. It was elegant. So that's the reason why we was dressed to the nines, and I had to go get my face beat. And it was totally worth everything. And we got lots of great feedback from everybody, from people. I haven't posted my pictures. I just posted just the one picture of Cisco and I, but I haven't even posted all our pictures yet. But when I tell you, I got pictures with Tyson Gay, I got a picture with Dermonti Dawson. I messed up and didn't get a picture with do you know Donna Robinson Wilson?
Mm-hmm.
Did not get a picture with her. Girl, her dress was bad, but she's like the most decorated coach in Lexington, period. Like there's nobody else close to her. I got pictures with James Lee and Jack Givens, and they were both our MCs. Just amazing that a group of Black people, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I have to highlight the fact that the University of Kentucky put a banner on their website to congratulate all of the inductees that went to Kentucky, right? It was like I didn't realize it was like 8 of them. And so I was meddling, and so underneath in the comments, somebody had to say something, right? Somebody was like, "Well, why did it have to be a Black African American? They can't compete?" And of course, I didn't have to chime in because somebody else had already had them checked the little Karen that was in the chat, right? And so, but that was a part of it. I think a lot of people just don't. That was the point. Is that as African Americans, we don't get the recognition that is due to us. I mean, look at all of the things that African Americans have discovered and invented, and they just don't get the recognition for that. We would our life as we see the comfortability, the conveniences, our whole way of life would not exist had it not been for the Black community giving their input and expertise and gifts and whatever on it. I mean, sports would be boring. I don't care what nobody says.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that, my thing is, I'm always going to bring sociology into it, right?
Yes.
I think it's really important to understand that throughout our history, Black people, brown people have always been excluded, right? We've always been excluded. We've always been oppressed. We haven't had the same opportunities available to white people. That's not shaming anyone. It's not saying that we hate white people. It's just the fact.
It's just the facts, and that's just the way
it is. The reality of us. It's the reality of our country's makeup. And so when we see that in 2022, we're still having the same issues that we had
in 1935.
In 1902.
Or 1902.
I think it's important to talk about these things and understand that it's not about equality and equity for Black and brown people doesn't mean lack of or the absence of that for white people. That's not that it's not an exchange, right? It's just making sure that our voices, our stories,
And I think
our
that that's how they
culture,
take it
and
sometimes.
everything else is elevated. It's not to silence you, it's to say that
Yes,
we also have a voice. And
yes,
Black history is very much not just American history, it's very much it's world history. And
right.
baby, it didn't start with slavery. But I think that we have to understand that we've got to elevate, we have to expose Black voices, and we need to tell the stories that exist, because, and we'll get to this later, when we don't, we have stories like Brett Favre that gets swept under the rug.
Ooh, child. You done
We're
went in
not there yet,
already.
but we're going to get there. We're going to get there.
So let me tell you this one story that really touched me from the Hall of Fame was John T-Bone Shelby. So he um, played or coached with or teamed up with like 3 Hall of Famers, like Tommy Lasorda and a couple of others that are like well-known Hall of Famers, right? But his story that I learned was the fact that he's been involved in baseball for 42 years,
Wow.
right? But how about he did not get a baseball scholarship out of high school? He did not get a baseball scholarship out of high school. But and we know why, right? I mean, even my son was a preseason All-American in baseball, and he got all of his scholarships were football. He didn't get. I think he might have got maybe 1 or 2 offers in baseball. So I don't know if he didn't get the baseball offers because they knew he wanted to play football. You can't really, well, first of all, you can't really compete because most baseball scholarships are not full. Um, they're not a full ride like football. Like the only time it's really a full ride is if you're throwing a 93, mile an hour fastball. You're a pitcher, or you go to junior college. That's when junior gets kind of paid for in junior college, right? So I'm thinking that, I'm kind of hoping that was the reason why, but I also noticed that when my son played baseball, you can still see the whole good old boy system. When it came to his calls, he didn't get the same calls as other players. He just didn't get the benefit of the doubt, even from his coaches.
Yeah.
Even from his coaches. So baseball is still one of those sports that I think that they're still trying to preserve. That's why it's still the only sport that you can go pro out of high school with. But the sports that are predominantly Black dominated, they put so many limitations and restrictions. I mean, you can't even. I mean, even in football, they took away celebration. Celebrate. You can't even celebrate.
Right.
And I feel like, but you can in soccer, and you can in, a lot of the other white dominated sports. They don't have a problem with you celebrating. But when it comes to the Black dominated sports, you can't celebrate like like football. I don't get football and basketball. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I think that it's always interesting to me, and I say this all the time, is that if if certain terms are okay when we talk about not even colloquialisms, but and they're not even cliches, but just terms that we've coined. So, for instance, if I say Black Lives Matter and your response is All Lives Matter or Blue Lives Matter, Okay, I'm not saying that those lives don't matter. What I'm saying is that there's a problem in society to where it is evident, not just it seems like. There's research still, right, that Black voices are muted and Black lives are at greater risk during normal activities like walking down the street or in your neighborhood with a bag of Skittles, an iced tea, and a hoodie on. Selling cigarettes on the sidewalk. Not to say that it's legal, but is it worth a man's life?
Right.
Having your neck kneeled on for nearly 10 minutes. Over what?
Right.
And so when we bring up these societal issues, I think it's very important for people to understand that this is not a means of putting down other cultures. It's not a means of saying that white people are evil. Not all white people are evil, and not all Black people are criminals. However, this nation was built off of principles that are inhumane.
Absolutely.
And I think that we really need to come to like we need to have a come to Jesus meeting about this, right? Because like we're too far down the line to still be talking about Colin Kaepernick.
It's almost 23. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Why are we still talking about Kaepernick disrespecting the flag?
When he wasn't disrespecting
the flag. Wasn't disrespecting the flag.
But I think, and we see that now, even in our political environment, is that I can take anything I want and spin it to make it be what I want it to be, right? Absolutely. And so when I was in grad school, I became very intrigued by some of the sociological perspectives as they relate to sports. And, there are, there are several different theories, but like one of the theories is the functionalist theory, where we look at sports and its impact and all the contributions that sports has made around the world. And so a lot of people argue about this particular theory because it really focuses in on the positive impact of sports. But that's very important because the positive impact of sports led us to a Jesse Owens and a Wilma Rudolph and a Serena Williams, like all of these things that we see where barriers were broken from race to gender. And so I think the functionalist theory is important in context. Like we need to make sure that we are not overstating the positivity of sports because sports also has some negative points. And I think that is where the conflict theory comes in. Y'all getting a little sociology lesson tonight.
Teach.
So the conflict theory looks at sports as being, that society is shaped and impacted by economic forces. And so then it views sports as a capitalistic extension of exploiting our country's economics or the world's economics. And so a lot of times when we look at the conflict theory, we're looking at how sports can be used to shine light on, this theory looks at how it shines light on how sports can oftentimes expose privilege, power, and an elite status of a particular group of people. And so you may hear things like the NFL is like Negroes for lease.
I've heard that.
And
It's
that
another form of slavery.
NFL is another form of slavery because it's talking about the power of an elite group over another group of people. And so, but it doesn't dig into some of the actual social issues that we see that are prevalent in sports. It really, for a lot of people, does focus in on like the economic impact that sports has. So there is also the interactionist theory, which really shines light and tells the story of how people's identity is their identity is shaped or developed, created, or it's a means of their identity being maintained by their interaction, their participation in sports.
Oh my God. My husband is a perfect example of that. Like his name is Cisco. He prefers to be called Coach because, he was a great player in high school. He was, of course he hates for me to talk about him. But he was an All-American on both sides of the ball, on offense and defense. He was named to like an all-decade here in Kentucky. He's in the Hall of Fame at his school. He's not in the Kentucky Hall of Fame. I think he said he had like 84 offers. Now, this is offers back when there was no internet. There was no social media, none of that. So I'm thinking like, okay, how did they find you in Bowling Green to recruit you like that, right? And so,
Right.
But somehow they did it, right? So he wanted to go to Clemson. I think he said the only offer he didn't get that he wanted was LSU and Florida. I can't remember which one it was. I think there was only 2 SEC schools that he didn't get an offer from. LSU and Alabama, I think, were the only 2 he didn't get an offer from. I think he got one from all the rest of them. But because of his identity and the success that he had, including playing at the University of Kentucky, after his career was over, he got into coaching. And so now he's been coaching for 28 years, and now he prefers to be called coach because that's who his identity is.
Yeah.
It's Coach Bryant.
Yep. The other theory, and I did this, I did a lot of research on this theory when I was in grad school, was the feminist theory and gender identity, gender shaping, gender relations in athletics and sports. And so the feminist theory looks at how sports perpetuate or reproduce some gender roles and ideas, how it takes on some of the stereotypes or ideas and practices that we have just in society about sexuality, about the makeup of a woman's body or a man's body, what the body is able to do based on your gender, and how some sports kind of perpetuate that idea or these stereotypes of what's masculine and what's considered to be feminine. And a lot of feminist theorists for sports, look at challenging these norms, right? Challenging some of the stereotypes, challenging what has always been, challenging what somehow became known as locker room talk, and it's really just misogynistic, being a jerk, you're sexist. Yeah, like that's not locker room talk. That's, you're showing some signs here. You got some red flags popping up, right? But it also looks at the privilege that men have experienced over women when it comes to athletics. And
I mean, that's the reason why they had to come up with Title IX.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that it's no different than affirmative action.
Yes.
Why do we need these? We
Yes.
don't need them because we're trying to put men down or put white people down or anything like that. We're saying that there is a gap here that needs to be identified. We've identified this gap. We've identified some shortcomings, and we need to close this gap. And so that's why you have to have bills and policies in place in society that transcend athletics. It transcends the working place, right? Because what we see in society infiltrates athletics, it infiltrates the workforce. And we can't talk about a level playing field if that level playing field never existed from the beginning. That means that we have to have some stuff in society to make it possible for the playing field to become level. It doesn't just level itself out when it wasn't built to be equal. It wasn't built to contain equity from the beginning. So guess what? We got to build it.
We got to build it. I mean, that's what was it, the Rooney Rule? What is the
Rooney Rule.
The Rooney Rule, yeah, for the NFL, because I mean, you had to create that in order for Black coaches to even get an opportunity to be interviewed.
Correct.
I mean, because they're putting in their applications and you're just totally overlooking them.
And so let's talk about the Rooney Rule. That was just implemented.
Right, recently. Like recently, like in the last couple of years.
2021. That's when the NFL actually approved the changes that required every single team to interview at least two minority. Two minority candidates.
Right. And so when your boy got
two, there are how many NFL teams? And you telling me that
32.
Yes. And you're only required to bring in two minorities.
I mean, right. And now they're at a point where they want a woman or a minority on the offensive side of the ball, because they're not allowing us to be on the offensive side of the ball. But what's going to happen there is we'll probably see more women come in than men, because they'd still rather would see a certain look than
I mean, and let's just call it out. There's no shame. So let me back up. First of all, I need to correct myself, because I think in our very first episode I said that the Browns quarterback was a rookie, and he's not a rookie. I don't know how my head was gone that episode. I don't know what I was talking about.
Oh, gotcha.
He's not a rookie. He's been in the league for like 8 years. So, and he's played with several teams. But
I'm telling you right now, I would love to be a quarterback, as long as they don't get hurt.
Right.
They come in every once in a while, because you just getting paid just to be a backup quarterback.
Right. Okay, so the Rooney Rule was actually established nearly 20 years ago. We're coming up on a 20-year anniversary. So the start of the 2003, 2003 season is when the Rooney Rule was actually established. It just went through changes, like an overhaul last year, which it quantified the candidates, right? So now it's just not, oh, you have to accept the application, you have to accept this, or we're requiring this, that, and the third. Is saying that now we're putting a number to it. You have to interview at least 2 minority candidates for a head coaching position and at least 1 minority candidate for one of the coordinator positions, if there's an opening for one of those.
Okay, but we found out with Belichick sending the text to his boy that's still some BS, right?
It is.
I mean, but exactly what you said though. But that's the same thing that happens in corporate America. Period.
All the time.
All the time. They already know who they want to hire, but the rule says you have to post the job. So you have to go through the changes and act like that you're interviewing and act like you're pulling these resumes, and you got to do that. But most of the time they already know who they want. So most of the time when these coaches go into these interviews, it's just because they have to follow the rule, but they already know who they want.
Yeah.
They
do. And I think that this is why it's important to have programming that speaks to elevating voices of underserved, underrepresented, and oppressed populations. You cannot expect a system to elevate the voices of people that it has systematically and systemically oppressed.
Absolutely.
That's not how this works.
It doesn't work like that.
It wasn't set up to work that way. And guess what? Now we're seeing that there are people in place who are going to try to keep it the way that it was always meant to be. Discriminatory, prejudicial, sexist.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I want to meet Bruce Arians so bad. I don't know what to do, because he had 2 females on staff. So his strength and conditioning coach was a female, and then the assistant and D-line coach was a female, Coach Locust, right? But then both of his coordinators were Black, and then as he steps down and then he goes into the office, he brings in a Black a Black quarterback. I mean, a Black coach.
I think it's also very important to understand the difference between people who are trying to meet a status quo or meet a requirement and those who are advocates for equity and equality. It's not even a fine line. There's a huge difference. And it shows so
much. Yes.
And I think this is, y'all have to forgive me, because I don't even know if I can actually tell this story, because every time I talk about it, it literally makes my blood boil. I am so disgusted by Brett Favre and these folks in Mississippi. Like, we already
why did you need to use their money when you got millions? Like 200 million? Like, what is he worth? Like 200 million?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So out of that 200 million, you couldn't write off a $5,000 volleyball court for your child?
So I want to back it, because there's some people, because the media is not really talking about this. Some of them are, but it's not like in the news on a regular basis like it needs to be. And I think this is one of the things that we see. From
Celtics, all they're talking about is him. And then when Michael Vick, this is 10 to me, this is 10 times worse than what Michael Vick did, and Michael Vick went to jail.
It is. And we're talking about you basically stealing
And you knew
and what they're going to say is that it was misallocation. No,
no,
it's theft.
you knew
it's
it was
fraud.
Yeah,
And so
you
let's
knew it
call
was
it what
fraud
it
based
is.
off of the text
But
messages.
let me back up, because this story is not out there like it should be. But we want to put it out there and let y'all know what your golden child from Mississippi did. Okay. This goes back all the way to 2017. This is 5 years ago, and it's just coming out. So in 2017, a nonprofit in Mississippi, the name of the organization is Operation Shoestring. They received a they received a grant, a federal grant, and it was worth more than $200,000. They went in, they got that initial grant in 2017. Then they tried to renew the grant. So some grants are renewable, right? The issue was that it was no longer available. And so what we're finding out is that the Operation Shoestring actually provides financial aid funding to families in need. So when they went to get this grant again, they were basically told it's not available. It's been reallocated. And we know what reallocated means is we're going to take from this
and put it somewhere,
give to that, and put it somewhere else. Operation Shoestring has been assisting families in Mississippi for more than 50 years. You have a program, a nonprofit that is serving Mississippi's most vulnerable people and people who are severely less fortunate, severely in need. You literally take money from them.
Trifling.
And reallocate it to fund a volleyball stadium. Now let's just back up, all right? Because this is like all the theories, right? But this is really about power and the abuse of power and the elite abusing those who are less fortunate.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to find the article because I really just want to read this. So their executive, I think it's their executive director, and
so how did it come out? How did it come out?
So this is what I'm getting to. I'm gonna read this because I'm not doing it justice. I just found the article that I wanted to read from. This is from the Washington Post. And yes, it is. Last name is Wright. Langford. Robert Langford is the executive director of Operation Shoestring, which is the organization that in 2017 got a grant for more than $200,000 to serve people in need, at risk, vulnerable.
You don't need no volleyball court, boo.
And you may need a volleyball court. You may need that stadium. But guess what, Brett Favre? You should have donated it from your all them commercials that you do. Okay.
That's all I'm saying. Or what you could have did was used your money and created your own foundation, and like the rich do, and now create your trust and all that stuff, and now funnel that money to the from your nonprofit to build the stadium, and now it's all a tax write-off regardless.
Right. So this is what it says. As Langford tried to renew the funding in 2018, the state officials tasked with distributing the money were found to be funneling millions away from those it was intended for. The scandal's impact will be felt for years, advocates say. It makes my blood boil, Langford said. We're talking about funds that were supposed to be used to help move people out of poverty in the poorest state, instead becoming literal currency for favors, both political and financial, for people. It's amazing. The details of the scandal continue to emerge in court filings and reporting by nonprofit news organization Mississippi Today. Last week, John Davis, the former executive director of the Mississippi Department of Human Services, pleaded guilty to 2 federal charges and 18 state counts of embezzling federal welfare funds. The U.S. Justice Department said Davis misused the money and helped create sham contracts, knowing that no significant services would be provided. Brett Favre has been sued by the state of Mississippi over the welfare misspending. This is not Brett Favre's plea. This is the executive director of Mississippi's Department of Human Services, John Davis, who pled guilty, says his plea spurred speculation that Favre and others could be further implicated.
So if he snitches,
but wait, hold on.
Let me read this. Snitches on Favre and all them.
It don't matter. He doesn't even need to snitch because text messages already prove Brett Favre's. Yeah. Let me read this part because we're not talking $200,000 that has gone missing, which is that's a lot anyway, right? We're talking about years of the misuse of these funds in the amount of millions of dollars. So get this. Let me tell you how much y'all's golden boy from Mississippi receives. That he stole, that he knew was stolen to fund this doggone volleyball stadium. That he could have funded his doggone self. Favre received $1.1 million intended for welfare recipients in exchange for speeches and appearances the state auditor says he never made. And the text messages included in court filings show Favre was heavily involved in discussions that resulted in $5 million in welfare money going toward the construction of a volleyball facility at his alma mater, the University of Southern Mississippi, where his daughter played volleyball. So you are talking about more than $6 million that y'all trifling mother suckers stole from people in Mississippi that needed these funds to get out of poverty. So I don't want to hear a doggone thing about Brett Favre's character,
I don't want to hear
about how wonderful he is. Y'all can save it for the rats in the hole that he's going to. I don't want to hear it.
Has he been inducted to the Hall of Fame?
I think so. Wait, no, he hasn't. Because when did he stop playing?
A couple years ago. How long you got to be out before you can before you're eligible?
No, he stopped playing a while ago. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's in the Hall of Fame. In fact, I think he's in the Hall of Fame for the year that all of this started, right?
2017.
I think so.
Yep, you show 2016. You show right, sis. He was inducted in 2016. All this happened a year after he was inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Actually, this was going on while he
was going
inducted.
on probably before, yeah. But
some of it started.
And they showed
so, and actually
that's all they're talking about it on here.
Yeah.
About he made headlines for his involvement in the Mississippi Welfare Fund scandal. $6 million meant for welfare went to Favre or causes that Favre champion.
So my whole thing is that you're trifling behind Mr. Hall of Fame or Mr. Whatever commercials he has with jeans and
Wrangler.
all this other BS. Yeah, Wrangler. You wrangled in $6 million from some people that may not even be able to afford their next meal.
Come on.
Your Wrangler jeans contract sponsorship, your deal is probably worth $6 million.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
You have enough to go out and not just build a volleyball stadium for your baby girl to play in. You could have built the University of Southern Mississippi a whole new football stadium.
Absolutely.
And so I think that when we talk about the sociology of sport, right, and we look at what it means to oh my Jesus, like I just can't, I'm trying to wrap my head around this whole thing. And every time I think about how trifling these folks are, like we already knew that the governor, the former governor, the current governor, all these folks in Mississippi, like we already knew that they were trifling. We didn't need another story to come out of Mississippi to prove to us that they were trifling.
Right.
Oh, but baby. Now we know just how trifling Brett Favre really is. So,
yeah, trifling.
I mean, we are talking about you literally stole money, millions of dollars from your state's most needy population. Brett Favre, you are the most disgusting, piggish man of the week. Okay?
Oh, my goodness.
And
sis.
No, this is not what we do. This is not what we do. We don't steal from the poor to enrich the rich.
And that's one of the things.
I don't want to hear about how much of a Jesus man you are, because the Jesus that I serve did not take from the poor. He gave to the poor. He chastised the rich for being greedy and not giving enough. So Brett Favre, John Davis, and the rest of y'all that plotted, planned, schemed, and scammed these people that needed the most out of $6 million plus. I'm not going to say that there's a special place in hell for y'all, because that's a little harsh. And everybody, nobody's beyond redemption. Nobody's beyond being able to repent, right? But I hope that the consequences of your actions are severe enough. I hope that you have to find these $6 million just like Trump asked to find them 11,000 emails, these 11,000 votes. I mean, I hope that y'all gotta find the $6 million that y'all definitely stole. And I hope that there's at least another $6 million in penalties that y'all have to
that you have to repay
the people that you stole from. And I'm not just talking about give it to this foundation and that. No, I hope that y'all get down into these parts of Mississippi that need it the most. These places that were flooded. I hope that they use your $6 million plus to rebuild all of the y'all could have rebuilt Mississippi's water lines.
Ooh, shut your mouth.
But y'all up here stealing from these people while you know that these pipes are filled with lead and poison. And instead of fixing y'all's infrastructure, you sit here and you steal. Woo! Child, miss my blood boy. I'm so fucking hot mad at this situation because it's too much like what we already seen.
Yes. I mean,
you are in position
we see this all the time.
And you are elected to protect these people, to serve these people. Yeah. And what you do
they abuse their authority
is plot and plan to take away from them while they're sitting up here drinking and bathing and then told, hey, you actually can't even drink and bathe in this water. It's so toxic. Mm-hmm. Okay. We need to move on because I can talk about this for another, like this could be a whole series on our show. And we ain't got but 3 minutes left in the show. And I'm taking up all the time on Brett Favre's trifle.
That's okay, because I thought she was going to go ahead and go right in on what's his name? Udoka? How you say his name?
Ime Udoka. Udoka. Ime Udoka. You, sir, are the weakest link. You, sir, are equally as trifling.
Equally.
Because not only, so I think that part of the story with him that's not coming out is that, or it's not being told enough, is that this was not just a skin of oops. This was not an oops. This was you being told to end your relationship with this woman, okay, this executive's, team executive's wife, and at least one other woman on the team that's affiliated with the team. So you're having an affair with these women. You were told to shut it down. You were given the opportunity to do so quietly. You chose not to. Then, and I'm trying to confirm this. I really want to confirm this because I just can't believe that this. So the level, this is when greed causes you to do some really stupid things, right?
Yeah.
You're so greedy. First of all, how the heck you fumbled me alone, sir? What? You double dribbling with me?
Oh my God! I mean, and I think that's so there's an email going around, and they were like, "These are the people that got cheated on. It's got right. you." I mean, right. Just
your mama, your
sister, your granny, your auntie, everybody, right? And so one of the things about that, what it does is that it kills the essence of women because we're like,
none of us are safe.
None of us are safe, and we can't rebuild the family structure that they tore down.
Right. We're not talking about though. We're just making this excuse like, hey, no woman is safe. Well, no, we know that, but also let's not say that no woman is safe and use that as a means of saying that this happens all the time.
And that we should get used to it. No.
Yeah, I'm not getting used to this.
No, it's not going to be the norm. And I'm not going to get used to it.
But the crazy part about this situation, one of the crazy things about this situation is that from what I'm hearing, the reason why this all came about now and was made publicly is because the VP heard his wife talking to Coach Udoka on their ring cam. Because she stepped outside, like onto their porch or something. The ring cam doesn't just capture video. It captures voices. You may not be seen, but you can be heard. So your dumb tail steps outside
That's
to take
dumb.
a call from your side piece at your home, and you get caught on your ring cam. So all parties involved are equally disgusting to me. You have a husband on, but like at least two married people.
So then I heard that she's pregnant, and because she's Mormon, they don't believe in abortion. So now they're, and I'm hoping that that's not true, but that's like the latest rumor is that she might be pregnant.
Oh, I haven't heard that. I didn't hear that. Listen, I think we need to revisit. I think we need to revisit Ime Udoka and this situation with the Celtics next week as well, because I think there are going to be more developments. There's going to be more to talk about. He was suspended for a year, but what does that mean for him? And does this situation mean that his coaching career is over, or will we see it be like another sports story where sports becomes the most forgiving place for men? On the next episode of As the World Turns.
Right.
Listen.
Right.
So I think what I'm going to do is do some more. I mean, I'm actually going to do some more research on this Brett Favre situation, because
the Brett Favre, yeah. But
because I think. Oh, go ahead.
My thing. I'm sorry. My thing with Udoka, whatever his name is we're fighting to put Black coaches in position.
Yes.
And then you come in and make us look bad by not doing the right thing. One of the things that you have to understand when you get put in a position like that as an African American is you still got to know that you have a level of responsibility, and the rules are still different. You still have to play by the rules. Just because everybody else can get away with stuff still does not mean that we can get away with stuff. Exactly. Even in corporate America. In corporate America, I had a coworker that totally cussed me out. If I'd have cussed him out, they'd have walked me out.
Right. Girl, listen. Well, folks, that's our show for tonight. I'm about to hop off of here before it cuts us off, but we want to thank you all for tuning in, for watching the replay. Don't forget, like our Facebook page, Hits and Heels. It's just facebook.com/Hits and Heels. That'll take you right to our page. Like us on Instagram, instagram.com/Hits and Heels. And make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just head over to YouTube, type in Hits and Heels, and you'll find us there. That's all we got for tonight. Peace out. Love, peace, oil, coconut oil, hair grease, fish grease, tofu oil, whatever you use. We love you. Have a good night, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Where my theme music, sis?
I don't know. It ain't playing. It's not playing. All right, y'all. Bye.